Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with a daily race C at Le Mans, going from the back of the grid on the EU. You can see we got some known drivers in this race. We've got Rory at the front there, starting from P3. We're starting from P13 and we're going to try and work our way as far forward as possible in this daily race C. So we're obviously in the Nissan because this race is pretty much a single make race. One driver there loses the rear straight away. You have to be very cautious of that at the start of this race with the acceleration of this car. Second gear, very, very dodgy. So just be careful when you start your race if you're starting at the back like I am here. You saw that car in front of us there. Nearly completely lose control. Now, going into turn one, we're just going to try and take this quite smooth. It's all about just trying to get into the slipstream when you're starting from the back of the grid and then working your way forward and just trying to play it smart to get towards the front. So you can see into the braking zone, down to second gear, and now we're going to just try and get in that third gear and stay as close as possible. Now we're not going to go for any silly moves here, we're just going to hold back. Just having a little look down the right so that we can see the apex, because when you're right up behind another car there, it's very difficult to judge when to turn in. So we're now going to pick up this slipstream, and obviously we're not going to go for the overtake, because this race is all about racing smart and using this custom slipstream, because it is an exaggerated slipstream. It's a little bit too strong, but what it means is everyone starts bump drafting. So we're going to fast forward the action as we bump draft P11 all the way up the straight there until we get to a situation where we're able to try and bump draft him past these two cars on the left. So bump drafting him on the right there. I don't think that car realised we were there behind the Spanish driver and tried to go right behind him, but I was obviously bumping him. So yeah, he nearly took me out there, but we got away with that one. So now we're in a free wide situation. We're going to try and brake as late as we can on the inside, and you can see on this replay camera some great racing here. Up the inside, brake nice and on time for the corner, hit the apex and a really good exit and up into P9. So next target, obviously P7 and P8 here, they're fighting. So we're going to pick up their slipstream down the straight. Again, fast forward that action on the straight until we get to the corner, and again all about just trying to keep it smooth through here. Don't want to make any too bad mistakes. And again, we get down that inside. Yeah, you can see it looks like the P8 went for a bit of a move on P7, actually clipped him. They both understeered wide. We take advantage of that situation and we are up to P7. Now, by the time we start lap 2 here, we can see we're a bit of a distance from P6. So what this means is I have to absolutely send it to try and get into the slipstream, because if we don't, we're just going to get lost on the straight. So we're 1.3 seconds behind here, down second gear, and making a little mistake there. You can see I understeered a little bit. I didn't really get it rotated in, and it's gone back up to 1.7 seconds. So that means I'm going to have to absolutely send it through this corner. And we actually do that pretty well there, right up to the limit of the track, and actually gain half a second on P6 there. And what that means is we've managed to pick up an ever so slight slipstream from P6, and you can see we've managed to stay in it all the way to the end of the straight there. And that was a massive help. That corner saved us there in terms of staying in this race for the win. So again, fast forwarding along these very, very long straights. Without the chicane version, this track is all about the straights and slipstreaming and working together and just trying to use a bit of racecraft to get yourself up towards the front. So again, I'm going to try and just stay with P6 here. If we can get a good exit from this corner, we might be able to go for a move before the final sector, which is where we should be able to then push to try and get back into the slipstream of the cars ahead of P6. So again, we're going to get that slipstream with 2 tenths behind him. We're picking up that slipstream nicely now, and it looks like we should be able to go for a move. So can we go through it? Is he going to go defensive? He's not going to go defensive. We're going to go to the right hand side, and we've got the inside here. So down to 4th gear, then to 3rd gear, get that car rotated in, and now we're going to push on towards this next group of cars. And we can see in front of us there, we've got a line of 5 cars very, very close together. I think the leader is a little bit ahead of them, but if we can get into this slipstream, we should be able to work together and catch up towards the leader. So pushing through the fast corners and now working our way into the last few corners here now, the chicanes towards the end of the lap, and we're going to have to send it again. So over the curb, down to 2nd gear, get that rotation, down to 1st gear for a bit more rotation, then back up to 2nd gear for the acceleration phase, and we absolutely nailed that right into the slipstream of P5, and now we're starting to catch up this lead group. So this is looking like a good run at the moment. We're definitely in the fight to battle for the lead if we can use the slipstream of other cars and work our way forward. You can see P1 does have a little bit of a gap to P2, but we all know that the no chicane version of this track is all about racing smart. Once you start slipstreaming each other, you're going to gain very, very quickly. So watching them absolutely glorious replay cameras on this track, working our way through the very fast flowing section there in the 1st sector, and now final corner before the long straight, trying to hook this up, going almost perfect through there, right up to the curb, and now we're in that slipstream to P5, and we just got to try and get into that slipstream and work with these to try and catch up the leaders. You can see we're actually only 3.6 behind now the leader, so you're going to see the benefit of the slipstream on this track and why it's such an advantage to bump draft. So you can see we're pulling away from P7 as well, because he's not really in that full strength of the slipstream. We're picking up a really strong slip from P5. So what we're going to do is we're going to bump him and push all these cars here in this group as much as we can to try and get as close to the front as possible. So you can see only 2 seconds behind the leaders now. This really does highlight why bump drafting is so important. 1.6, 2 seconds gained already on the straight alone through working together. So again, we're going to just sit in the slipstream. We're not going to go for any rash move into the braking zone here, because we just want to play this smart and get as close as possible to the leader. So braking nice and early, down into second gear, and then just get this car slowed down for the rotation, and then back up to second gear, and we're still in that slipstream, only 1.5 seconds away from the leader. So now again, we're going to work with the car in front, because we know that everyone is in a slipstream train here, so there's no point trying to overtake. You see what happens if you try and overtake here, they'll just pull away because it's a slipstream. So again, we're just going to hang back here, give him a little bump there, and then just make sure we brake early for this fast right-hand corner. So to the left-hand side, and we actually managed to go round the outside of him there, because he came out of the slipstream, and that is a big mistake. Do not come out of the slipstream on this track, because as soon as you do that, you're just going to lose such a massive amount of speed, because you really do need to hang in that slip. So up into P5, we've got P2 with a penalty there, so that's going to be interesting. Will he take that penalty and stay ahead of us? It's looking like he might just be able to do that, so he's took the penalty there, but it actually looks like we might be able to get ahead because of the loss of momentum there that he's had, and we're in the slipstream. So yeah, we're going to the left-hand side of the track, and now we just got to stay to the left, and we can brake quite late here on the outside, down to third gear, and we're now up into P4. So we've got Rory ahead of us there in P3, and now that is our next target, to try and get past him and push on to P1, or work with these on the main straight and then try and get towards the front for the last laps. This is going to be very, very interesting. So again, closing up, we've got Hogstone in P2 there as well. We've come from P13, so we've done a really good job so far from P13 to P4, and we're only just coming up to lap 4, so we've got 2 more laps to try and progress towards the lead of this race. So jumping over them curbs, using all that space possible, onto that throttle, letting it rev up to about 106 miles per hour before we change gear. Some people make a little bit of a mistake when they start hearing the wheel spin, that they change up to third. It's better to just let the car rev out and go through that wheel spin and get it up to about 106 miles per hour. So again, using second gear over these curves, getting on that throttle early. It's really important to use a lot of the track limits through there, so you can get on that throttle as early as possible. And now it's just a case of playing it smart. There's no point trying to overtake anyone in this section, so we're just going to hang back here, sit behind Rory, just try and keep our lines nice and smooth. You can see Rory doing reasonable lines there, but we're just hanging back, and now we're going to get that slipstream. He's lost a little bit of ground to P2 and P1 there, so what we need to do is start that bump drafting phase, and because we've managed to stay within 2 tenths to run through that section, we should be able to get that bump drafting working, and he is just about hanging on to the slipstream of P2. So what that means is he's going to get a bit of slipstream while we bump draft him, and then we should be able to catch up them 2 cars right at the front. So working with Rory here, pushing him forward, we're going to work with him again down the left hand side, and hopefully we're going to get past Manu and that as we go through. So up into P2 at the moment, and then we're going to keep bumping Rory at this stage, and again we're going to try and then wait until the next straight before we go for an overtake. So again, no overtake here, play it safe, as Hogstone gets a little bit too optimistic on the brakes there, goes a bit wide, and that's going to drop him down to P4. So again, what we do here, very tactical move here, I lifted off the throttle on purpose to give myself a little 2 tenths gap, because then I'm going to pick up the slipstream to get the overtake done at the right point of the track. This is really important. You don't want to get it too done too early, because then they're just going to come back at you. So now we've got that point perfect, and now we're up into P1 in this daily race C. So from here, this is going to be very, very difficult. We're going to try and push and see if we can break away, but it's not always going to be as easy as that. So running a little bit wide there, maybe picked up a little bit of dirty tyres. Let's have a little look as we go into the braking zone. Looks like everything is okay, not too bad there in second gear and accelerating out. Rory has a little bit of a moment on the rear there, luckily for us, because he actually was getting very close there, and with the slipstream he probably would have caught us up, but now we've got that gap up to 3 tenths. So let's see if we can hold on to P1 in this race at the moment. We've got 1 and a bit laps to go, and we're coming up to this fast section. This is where I wanted to really, really push and try and break away. So stayed in 4th gear there to try and avoid that gear shift between 3rd and 4th. It's not necessarily the fastest, but if you can really hook it up, it can work out quite nicely. And then into this next left-hand corner, chucking it in, trying to get the left-hand tyre. You really want to get that left-hand tyre over the curb a little bit more than what I did there. But you can see we've managed to get that gap up to 6 0.6 of a second there. So if we can push through these corners now, we might be able to increase it to over a second. So again, up to 8 tenths. We're really pushing through here, and then onto the throttle on the exit there, and keep your eye on the mirror, and that is a big F.
Fatality.
That is a fatality there for Rory. He got a little bit too aggressive, ran a little bit too wide, on the throttle too much, and he's lost the rear of that car, and we are up into the lead with a 1.5 second lead, which is, it's still within the slipstream. So I really went for it here, tried to send it, really good chicane there, and onto the power. You can see we got the gap back to 1.5 there after he caught up a little bit in the braking. However, into this corner, didn't quite hook this up. You can see I just got a little bit too sloppy through there. Should have been way more aggressive on the throttle, and actually lost a bit of time to P2. And now into this corner, had to lift. I ran wide, and one thing I recommend, do what I did there. Lift off the throttle. If you keep it planted, you're going to pick up half a second penalty. But if you lift off that throttle, you will not get the penalty, and the slipstream is going to save you on this combo no matter what. So it's better to be in the slipstream with no penalty than in the slipstream with a penalty. So we actually end up lifting a little bit there, making sure that Manu can go past, and now we're going to get the slipstream. And what I decided to do here is give him a little bit of bump draft to try and clear ourselves away from P3, so this turns into a two-car battle. Now what happens here is it's interesting. I don't know whether it was 100% deliberate, but you're going to see what happens as we come into the braking phase. We're working with him, but we're now going to go down the left-hand side and try and widen our line in to get a better exit from the corner. You can see we're actually ahead. He brakes a little bit too late there, which is going to compromise his exit. So we took underneath, and we've got a much better line for getting the exit now. And he moves to the right as I'm going down the right. And for me, that looked like a little bit of a block. Watch it in slow motion. He knew we were going down there. He's not a dirty driver, Manu. I like Manu. We've known each other since GT Sport, but I think that was a little bit wrong. I was flashing him to show my disapproval, because I think that he might have moved over there on purpose to try and stop me getting that momentum down the right. But either way, I wasn't too happy, and it meant I'm going to send this if I get an opportunity. And we come up to the perfect opportunity here, because Manu gets on the brake incredibly early there. Look how early he's on the brakes, and that opens the door up, and we actually managed to get the car into the corner without running wide, and actually onto the accelerator up into P1, and then into the braking zone. We're up onto the curb, and we managed to keep that position and work our way into the lead. Now Manu wasn't very happy about that second part of the overtake, but I'm going to show you now. The overtake, I think, was amazing. This was a great move. We sent it. I saw an opportunity. It's the last lap. We gave him space. We didn't run him wide. Look at this. Down the inside. He has to give up that position there once we're down the inside. We make the corner perfectly, and on the throttle on the exit. That is the key part to the overtake. Now at this stage here, I think he was a bit annoyed at this, but if you watch, as we're coming into the corner, we are right onto the curb. We're actually, at this point here, we're on the curb. I can't really go any further right. I think he should have turned in a little bit later, and I think if Manu watches that footage, there looks like there was a bit of desync as well. It happens a lot on Gran Turismo with the ricochet effect, but I think if Manu watches that footage that I've just shown there, he'd actually hold his hands up and say, yeah, fair play, there was not much wrong with that. So we managed to keep the lead. And into the last chicane here, we've got a 1.3 second gap. We've managed to increase that as we go through this chicane and take a really enjoyable win. I thoroughly enjoyed that race, going from the back of the grid. We streamed this live, so if you do want to check out them live streams, make sure you get subscribed to the channel and hit that like button on this video. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable race. Hope you lot enjoyed it. I'll be back with more of these videos in the future, so get subscribed, everyone. Take care. Bye.